The Silent Echo, Episode 3, Shadows of the Past. Recap from Episode 2. In the previous episode, Sarah uncovered a hidden chamber in the basement of her family's estate. Inside, she found a chest filled with sealed letters and strange symbols. The whispers had intensified, and Sarah heard a mysterious voice warning her that she shouldn't have come. Now, with the letters in hand and fear mounting, Sarah stands on the brink of uncovering a dark family secret that could change everything. Episode 3. Shadows of the Past. The air in the chamber felt heavier, the silence oppressive. Sarah could still feel the presence of that unseen figure, the voice echoing in her mind. Clutching the letters tightly, she backed away from the open chest, breathing shallowly and unevenly. She had to get out of the basement, away from the cold stone walls that seemed to pulse with hidden life. As she turned toward the staircase, the whispers resumed, but this time they seemed distant, fading into the background as though the house was momentarily releasing its grip on her. Sarah didn't look back. She rushed up the stairs, the wooden floorboards creaking beneath her feet. Back in the safety of her room, she slammed the door shut and leaned against it, her heart racing. The letters were still in her hands, and she stared at them as if they held all the answers to the mysteries that had been haunting her. Slowly, she set them down on the bed and sat beside them, her fingers trembling as she reached for the first one. The wax seal crumbled away easily, the paper inside fragile but intact. The handwriting was elegant but rushed, as though written in haste or fear. It was addressed to her great-grandmother. "Dearest Evelyn," the letter began, "I fear the time is near. The echoes grow louder, and the darkness that we have long kept at bay is stirring once again. The pact we made, I fear it may no longer hold. You must be careful, for they are watching." Sarah's brow furrowed as she read the letter. What pact? What darkness? She flipped through the rest of the letters, scanning each one for clues. The correspondence seemed to document a series of events that happened decades ago, strange occurrences, unexplained phenomena, and repeated references to a shadowy force that seemed to haunt her ancestors. As she read the final letter, a name caught her attention: Elijah. The letter mentioned him in passing, describing him as a close friend of her great-grandmother's, someone who had helped her navigate the dangers that plagued the family estate. Sarah had never heard of Elijah before, but something about the name struck a chord deep within her. Could this Elijah be the voice she had heard in the basement? Could he still be tied to the house, lingering as a guardian? Or perhaps something more sinister? The thought made Sarah's skin crawl. She needed answers, but the letters only raised more questions. There was something more to the estate than just old family secrets. Something ancient. Something dangerous. Determined to find out more, Sarah decided to do what she had been avoiding since the strange occurrences began. She would seek out the family's old records. Her grandmother had kept meticulous notes on everything, from family heirlooms to estate history, stored away in the dusty attic. If anyone had written down something about a pact or this Elijah, it would be there. The attic was a place of forgotten things, filled with old furniture covered in sheets, trunks full of clothes from another era, and dusty boxes of documents. Sarah climbed the creaky ladder up to the attic, feeling a sense of unease settle over her once again. The whispers had stopped for now, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they were always just out of earshot, waiting for her to let her guard down. As she sifted through the boxes, she came across an old leather-bound journal, its cover worn and faded with time. It was her great-grandmother's journal, something that hadn't been mentioned in the family records she had seen before. Flipping through the pages, Sarah found entries detailing strange dreams, eerie encounters, and even references to a ritual meant to protect the estate from a malevolent presence. One entry, in particular, stood out. July 23, 1947. Elijah warned me again today about the shadows. He said the pact will only hold as long as the key remains hidden and the heart remains untouched. But I fear it is too late. The echoes have grown stronger, and the shadows no longer obey the rules we set forth. I fear for the future of this house and for all who dwell within it. Sarah's stomach twisted with unease. The shadows, the echoes, the key. Everything was connected. But what was this pact? And what had her great-grandmother and Elijah done to keep whatever force was haunting the estate at bay? As she read on, Sarah realized that her great-grandmother had never fully understood the nature of the darkness she was dealing with. It was ancient, older than the estate itself, something that had been awakened by a mistake made long ago, and now it was stirring once again. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed from downstairs. Sarah froze, her heart pounding in her chest. The noise came from the living room, the very place where she had first heard the whispers. Grabbing a flashlight, Sarah cautiously descended the stairs, her pulse racing with every step. The house was dark, save for the dim glow of the moonlight filtering through the windows. As she entered the living room, she saw something that made her blood run cold. The portrait of her great-grandmother had fallen from the wall and lay shattered on the floor. But that wasn't the worst part. Standing in the center of the room was a figure, tall, cloaked in shadow, its face obscured by darkness. It was as though the very shadows of the house had taken form. The figure slowly turned toward Sarah, and though she couldn't see its face, she could feel its eyes on her, cold, piercing, and filled with malice. "You've disturbed the balance," the figure said, its voice deep and resonant. "Now, the echoes will have their due." Sarah's breath caught in her throat as the figure took a step toward her. She instinctively backed away, her mind racing for a way out. But before she could react, the lights in the house flickered and went out, plunging the entire estate into darkness. In the silence that followed, the whispers returned, louder than ever, circling her, filling the room with their haunting chorus. And then, just as suddenly as they had started, the whispers stopped. The figure was gone. The room was empty, save for the shattered portrait and the broken glass scattered across the floor. Sarah stood frozen in place, her heart pounding in her ears. The shadows were alive, and whatever her family had done to keep them at bay had failed. The echoes had returned, and this time they weren't going to stop.